The turnout was huge for the first Music on the Lawn performance at the Dear Wyman House this summer. Little did the youngsters there know what had gone on behind the scenes to make the concert a go. Hi, I'm Susan McPeters, and thanks for joining us for this week's edition of Life and Times. What do you do when you're throwing a party, some 1,500 guests have RSVP'd, and the guest of honor is suddenly taken ill? That's what the staff at the Butterworth Center Dear Wyman House was faced with when noted children's performer, 83-year-old Ella Jenkins, was hospitalized just a few days before she was scheduled to perform at the Dear Wyman House. Rather than cancel, they decided the show must go on. The elegant houses that members of the Dear family used to call home are now overseen by a trust, whose mission is to open them to the community as cultural arts centers that develop and support educational programs and events. Over the years, Life and Times has brought you a number of those programs. The Evenings at Butterworth Center series featured folk singer Judy Cook, with songs and stories inspired by the discovery of letters sent between her great-great-grandparents during the Civil War.
Half a dozen slips and the very latest bursting of the bubble. And the old songs that I sing really are a window into the past. I sing songs that come from as long ago as the 16th century, some of them longer. So yes, I've always been interested in history in that regard.
They put it up to vote, and it lost by just a few votes. And
there is the Fridays at Dear Wyman House performance series, which has featured such varied performances as a one-man play about Robert E. Lee.
I believe in this enlightened age who will not acknowledge that slavery is a moral and a political evil. However, there are those who believe it is a necessary evil. Perhaps this whole war is God's punishment for that national sin.
And the flute piano duo of Jennings and Johnson. And performances geared toward children, such as this one by James Coffey, have been held in the Music on the Lawn series for 8 years.
Right to a railway station, beyond imagination, come right along with me. We will go far beyond the hillsides, where stories grow and dreams hide. Come right along with me.
But this was a first. When they got the word the scheduled performer was ill, Gretchen Small started making phone calls, including one to a Chicago musician who had performed here previously.
And she said, let me think who I can suggest. So she gave me the name of someone to call, had the phone number. I called them, left a message. The agent called me right back and said, well, he's going to be in Denver Wednesday, but give me some time, I'll call you back. In a little bit, the performer called me back and said, we've got somebody lined up that's great for you. Here's his name, here's his phone number, call him. He's waiting for your call. And I called, Rich answered, and he knew, was expecting my call, and it was done.
And so I called these guys quickly, and this all happened in about 10 minutes time. So I called the guys, made sure they were available first. That's the most important thing. And then Gretchen, the person who's in charge of this, called, and we talked. She said, what kind of stuff do you do? And I said, oh, we do stuff that's fun for kids. We'll get them dancing, we'll get them singing, and I think we did that.
The kids, all from local summer programs and private daycare providers, had no idea this was the first performance of the Sparklers, a name that came to Rich off the top of his head because it sounded like fun. While these musicians have all played different types of music together a lot, they had never performed together for such a young audience. They didn't have time to rehearse, per se.
we rented a van so we could all be in the same car together as we drove, and we decided that that would be the time that we would rehearse verbally as we drove. Of course, Chris was asleep by about an hour into the drive, and we were all involved in different activities as we were driving. Laptop. I think you and I were.
Yeah, I was taking notes, just kind of writing down what songs we were. So we had a huge list, and then we narrowed it down. And
yeah, we had already talked about like which songs. So like you were kind of by default kind of.
It was like the secretary, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So we talked through it. No touching of instruments, and when we stopped at midnight to buy our costumes for today, Brian said maybe our costumes will inspire us to know what to do.
And since 2006, Rich has been going into Chicago classrooms as a Ravinia visiting artist.
Go into the public schools and work with teachers on how to integrate arts into the core curriculum. And we go into schools that have less funding, usually that don't have a music teacher on staff. We become the music teacher, and we go into and work with the kids for 15 weeks. And then we do a big concert at Ravinia at the end of the year. I work with first and second graders in that program.
The farmer we know is named Old MacDonald.
Old MacDonald had a farm, and on that farm he had a dog.
This was definitely an audience different from that they are used to playing for.
We have a band called Crawl, which is a high energy jazz fusion band, very intense group. And we opened for a band called Mr. Blotto, which is a Chicago staple, a big jam band. And we played at a club called Reggie's on the south side of Chicago to a ton of kids that were over 21 and not quite as well behaved as the kids today.
It was a blast, and the venue's beautiful, and it was just a blast playing for the kids because they were so attentive and just so ready to have fun. You know, I think that sometimes when you're playing clubs a lot, sometimes you fight the audience a little bit, and because people are doing whatever they're doing, but the kids were just so ready to get up and dance and have fun. It was really refreshing.
There was just so many kids here, you know, and like Brian was saying, the energy was palpable. You know, you could really feel the enthusiasm in the audience, and it was a great dynamic to feed off of, to be able to sense their enthusiasm and excitement for it, and have a push-pull with that.
Because I've worked with Rich before with kids doing, you know, going into the schools and stuff. And I actually did music for a 3 DVD series for kids. So it was all like doing children's music. So, and, you know, wrote and recorded all the music. So I'm not, it's not new.
It's different from anything I've ever had before because I've never had a drum set. So it was a 4-piece band, so it was more rock, but kids love that. As long as the performer can get 800 plus kids up and dancing, that's a success in my eyes.
We're all professional musicians, which means we never stop working. You're never done unless you're asleep, really. I have a daughter. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and Chris, our bass player, has a 7 and a 5-year-old, and the other 2 guys are just funny guys. So we like kids. We've actually talked about putting a group together for kids, and this was like a perfect kick in the pants to get that started.
But the name Sparklers had to go. According to an internet search, a rock band is already using it. So meet the Sparklemonkeys.